This is Andi Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by Liam Beterbiev-Smith up here in Liverpool. Liam, it's always a pleasure. How are you? You are a month out now from fight night.
Good, mate, yeah, good.
I'm glad to hear it. I'm sure this first time we've spoken since the rematch was officially announced. I'm sure you're kind of glad to actually have something to officially work towards now.
Yeah, I'm just glad I'm in the gym, training, sparring, and injury free. If that makes sense. I'm happy. We've got the day for the rematch. Obviously, it was good to pull out the first one, and I'm looking forward to September now.
At what point did you personally genuinely know and believe that the rematch would be taking place? Obviously, there was a lot of talk of Junior facing Conor Benn. Was you ever doubting if he would take the rematch?
Obviously, yeah. When you're hearing what you're hearing, and obviously, I knew to be honest, I knew someone in the middle of someone who knew that they were really trying to make the Conor Benn fight, but obviously, you've seen Conor Benn was only basically cleared the other day. We're talking 2 months ago. So I think it was not as clear as it sounds, as it looked for them to fight. So I think he had to really fight me first.
Liam, just picking that back up there, just had an issue with my camera. Yeah, the rematch. How do you approach this fight? Obviously, we saw how devastating the first fight ended. Do you expect it to work out in the same manner? Do you expect something different? What are your thoughts?
Obviously, I have to expect a different type of fight, because if it's the same type of fight, it's the same type of outcome. So I have to expect something different from Chris, but that could still well end up in the same outcome. I'm confident in the same outcome can happen again. If I could do it first time, I could do it again. There's a whole part of accepting a rematch clause. I told everybody I'd beat him once, I'll beat him twice, so I stand by that.
Junior spoke to the media yesterday, did the rounds over Zoom, and he's adamant that not only can he right the wrong, but he still believes that he can stop you, and he wants to stop you to not just get his hand raised, but he wants to really kind of get rid of the demons from that first fight. Is it a surprise to you that he's still as kind of confident as what he was before the first fight?
No, because he's delusional. He always has been. I expected everything that's come out of his mouth. Well, I'm lying. I didn't expect him to blame the referee. I expected every bit of shite that comes out of his mouth. I expected every excuse besides blaming the referee. To be honest with you, that was one that come as a big surprise. But I'm surprised that I'm saying all this now. But he hasn't got much to back his story. He's never even. In the fight, he's saying he dominated the fight and he made 6-7 uppercuts. If I hit you with 6 uppercuts, I hit you at 1 uppercut, Chris, and you've head nearly come off your neck. The next shot after the uppercut put you on your backside. So, if you hit me with 6 or 7 uppercuts and never budge me, then you want to be worried. But yeah, look, it's just Chris being Chris. I'm confident I can do the exact same to him. He's never hit me sparring in the fight. And he hasn't really got much to back up that he can stop me. One man's done it, and he's not a patch on the man that stopped me. So,
does this fight mean as much to you now, Liam, as what the first one did, because you've already got a victory over him?
Yeah, because I have to win just to keep on a path to where I want to go, and to big fights and to another world title. I must win. So that's it. Regardless of who it is, my next fight's just a must win anyway, in a position to where I want to go.
Liam, we saw him announce that he's teamed up with Brian McIntyre a few days ago. What do you make of that move?
Again, I couldn't care less. It's probably for clout rather than to learn. Do you know what I mean? It's probably because Bomac's coming off the back of a great victory with Canelo-Crawford. I like him as a fella. He's quite funny. Everything I've seen of him. Probably is a very good coach too, but doesn't mean to say he's a good coach with Chris. Roy Jones is a very good coach. Didn't suit for Chris at all. Who else has he had in the past? Artur Beterbiev, good coach. Didn't gel with Chris. Ronnie Shields. But Chris being Chris, like I said, he's just, his ego's too big. Regardless, he'll have that to look like he's learning, but regardless of anything, what can they learn him in 4 weeks' time?
That was going to be my next question. Having spoken to him over Zoom yesterday, I asked him how much time he's had to actually spend with Bomac. He said he spent a little bit with him last week, obviously whilst he was out there with Crawford, and he's just announced him this week, so effectively you've got maybe, say, 4.5 weeks with a new coach. What do you feel like he could gain from that?
Nothing at all. Nothing. you can't learn nothing in 4 weeks with a new coach like that. And be realistic. How much time has he spent with Bomac over the past 6 weeks while Bomac's been in camp with Crawford? Not much. Might have done one session with him while he was in the gym with Crawford. So, look, you know, you don't have to be a genius to think you're having him for maybe to make me think, oh, he's got Bomac in his corner. Like I said, he can have Bomac, he can have Terence Crawford with him. It's still not going to help Chris.
Does this end in as stunning and as devastating a fashion as what the first fight did?
I feel it does, yeah. I feel I'm confident I can do the exact same to him. You know, we sat and spoke yesterday, and Chris being Chris, he's asking me how I want him to approach the fight. And I'm like, you know, just this delusion. I said, you approach the fight whatever way you want, but, you know, like I said, approach the fight the way you approached it last time, and the same thing will happen to you. Come and have a fight with me. You could get stopped earlier, so it's up to you.
I know obviously you always take it one fight at a time, but just looking towards the future, where do you see your career progressing? Is it 160? Is it 154? Is it the big domestic names? Is it world honours? What do you want?
Anything, obviously. Like I said, 12 months ago, I want to become world champion again. I want to challenge for a world title. I want to have the, like, you know, the legacy, the history behind being a 2-time world champion, maybe even a 2-weight world champion. But, you know, with the position I'm in now, I'll beat Chris and I'll see what I've got on the table. You know, I beat Chris last time and I was in a good position. Obviously, I knew I was tied into the rematch, so that was it. But, you know, I got made mandatory challenger for the world title at middleweight. I got put number 1 in the WBC at 154. Already now, there's talks of me fighting Conor Benn next. There's talks of me fighting Kell Brook next. There's talks of me fighting Johnny Beck for a world title. You know, Tim Tszyu is now going to be world champion. I just think I'll beat Chris again September. I'm sitting in a very good position again.
I do want to get your thoughts on Conor Benn there. What did you make of the release of the findings last week?
I haven't got a clue about them all. I don't know. Is it true now? Is it meant to be eggs from Ibiza? That's what I read. That's what I mean. I don't know. I haven't got a clue, but I don't know. I'm baffled by it all still. That, like, UCAD have cleared him the other day, but he failed 2 VADA tests. He passed the UCAD test, didn't he? So I haven't got a fucking clue, mate, to be honest with you. I just think it's all baffling. And if he is as innocent as they make out, then he should be compensated with millions and millions for loss of earnings. So if that's not the case, then it stinks.
You've said in the past that it's no surprise to you that maybe Eddie or Conor haven't mentioned your name, but then obviously in this interview you've said that you've been spoken about maybe briefly or in passing for a potential fight there with Conor. Is it something which you'd seriously consider if he was to come up to say 154, 160? Is it something which you'd entertain?
Entertain you at 160, 154, mate, if it paid and if it made sense.
I don't bring any money to the table, unfortunately.
You know what I mean? But, like, look, again, regardless of anything, whether you're calling him a cheat or not, if he's back and he's cleared in boxing, after all the, you know, the stigma behind the drug thing, the Conor Benn fight, next fight is big, it's huge. And like I say, he's a big money fight for somebody now. So, of course, I'd entertain it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you lies. But, it's, you know, if that fight comes to me, like I said, I've said since the day Conor Benn ever got mentioned towards anybody, if the Conor Benn fight comes to me, then I will come with broken arms.
We did see you both share a couple of messages over Instagram where you were replying to each other's stories. Do you think he's certainly maybe more open to it?
Of course, you know, I met him in Dublin and spoke about it. I bumped into him walking the shop in Dublin and mentioned it. Like I said before, look, deep down they're kicking themselves. Deep down they're devastated what I'd done to Eubank last time. Because whether, you know, Conor maybe thought, no, what I could have done that now. I robbed them of it. I robbed them of the big money fight between them. And especially when I beat him again next time. I know they were still trying to make it and they were still looking at, like, it was not really a big deal that he lost to me. But I beat him twice. There's no Conor Benn Eubank fight no more. So, deep down, him and Eddie are probably hating me for that. But like I said before, if you know, I'll beat Chris. And then, again, if the Conor Benn fight comes, I'll beat Conor too.
Something I did want to ask as well, speaking to Junior the other day, he said that he's still adamant and still believes that the Conor Benn fight will happen down the line. Didn't give him the scenario whether win, lose or draw against yourself, but yeah, is it a surprise to you that they are still considering it? Do you think they can still make it even if you beat him again?
No, because if I beat him again, I think it's laughable. No one will pay interest to it, but obviously they'll still think it sells because the names, the background, it's adds. So if that's the case, look, if I beat him again and they make that fight, so be it. Good luck to them. But like again, it's kind of my leftovers, if that makes sense.
Another fight I want to put to you is Tim Tszyu. Now we expect to see Tim Tszyu elevated to WBO super champion. You're obviously highly ranked. With WBO light middleweight. Is it a fight you'd certainly maybe re-entertain?
1,000,000%. I've always been spoke about, linked to, close to Tim Tszyu. You know, I've been nearly matched him before. I nearly fought him in Australia in COVID. I've always been linked with him. I sat with his promoter when Frankie boxed at the Lawrence Coley show. Said they'd be interested in making it if Charlo pushes his injury back, obviously even for his interim title. So I know they're mad. They're keen for a fight with me. Always have been. Was laughing, thinking, I could get it Tim Tszyu's first defence after he's elevated to champion once I beat Eubank. But that's just going back to what I said to you before. Look, once I beat Eubank September 4th, I'll be sitting in a good position, and I guarantee you, man, and my manager and my team's phone's ringing.
Must feel nice to potentially hold all of the cards beyond September 2nd. Yeah,
definitely it will do. Like I said, look, last time, unfortunately, I was tied into a rematch, but you know, once I beat him last time, I was in a very good position. Like I said before, I was number 1 in the WBC at 154. I was number 1 in the WBO at 160. You know, it got put out for pace bids, me and Johnny Beck, but obviously had to be postponed because I was tied into the rematch. So, I presume the same's going to happen again once I beat him again.
Just to kind of stick with that 154 division, the man who holds all of the titles, who's moving up to face Canelo, Jamal, what do you make of his chances up at 168 against Saul Canelo Alvarez?
No, I think Canelo's like too big for him, too good for him, to be honest with you. Look, there's a lot of question marks over Canelo now. I've seen loads of people saying, you know, he's on the slide and all that. He's still some fighter if that's a fighter on the slide, but I think Charlo will be made for him.
So the weight below this past weekend, we saw Terence Crawford produce a stunning display against Spence Jr to become undisputed welterweight champion. What did you make of Terence's performance?
I thought it was class, unbelievable. Just spiteful, sharp. No, I thought before the fight, obviously, I thought that the best fight in boxing should be made at the minute. Ability v ability, prime v prime. You know, I thought that was the best fight in boxing. But then the fight, I do think Spence was a little bit dead at the weight, but I also thought that Crawford was just brilliant. Like, that fight now makes me think them two could fight at any weight, and Crawford beats him now.
So if they did do the rematch at 154,
Crawford, I think they could fight at 160, and Crawford beats him. I just think that fight was so dominant. I just think it's one of them like positions where I think I'll never lose to him, and I think Crawford will probably have that over him now.
Walked in on a little conversation between yourself and your brother Callum earlier, mentioning a fantasy fight, shall we say, between Terence and Canelo. How do you think, it'd obviously, I imagine, be some form of a catch rate, but how do you think Terence would fare against Canelo? Let's say if it's at 160.
You know what, I don't know at 160, because a lot of depends on what Canelo's like at 160, but I think he's a nightmare for anyone, Crawford, especially the southpaw stance, but you probably would have to favour Canelo with the size, but I do think Crawford does have a chance.
Just coming on to your brother Callum, obviously you had that disappointing news the other day that his bout with Artur Beterbiev has been postponed. Just kind of your thoughts on that and how kind of Callum goes about trying to secure his next fight.
Yeah, I'm gutted for him, like I said, but I take my hat off to him. Like his fight got called off, you know, Sunday night. I tried to phone him, see how he was Monday morning, no answer. Walks in the gym and he's sparring. I thought, what are you doing? Go to McDonald's or something, and go to the pub. And he said no. He said, I'm trying to get out. I'm definitely fighting before. I'm not waiting. So, you know, fair play to him. I think that you got to be mentally strong to do what he's done to stay in the gym. He's still in the gym today, obviously. So I think he's trying to get out on one of the shows. And then we'll have to just see. But you know, I'm gutted for him. He should be fighting for a world title in 2 weeks' time. 3 world titles.
Would you have travelled out for that original date? Because I was thinking that the other day.
No, it was a no, but then we were trying to work around it to see what our coach was going to come with me, because my strength coach is out there, my nutritionist is out there anyway, so I might have dragged one of the coaches with me. I think it was going to be better for me to be there 5 days and train 5 days and come home rather than try and fly in Friday out Sunday. So obviously scientists told me that basically it'd be better me doing 5 days training there than coming home rather than in and out.
So basically, you just wanted 5 days in Canada.
Yeah, but look, it wouldn't have been 5 days Canada trip for me. I'm in my hard weeks of training, so it would have been the same.
Liam, just kind of to keep in with that fight, obviously a lot of talk heading into it as to how it was going to play out. If Callum was to be successful, it would maybe be a bit of a firefight. Was that something that you saw as being his best route towards victory, whereby they would both kind of stand trade and whoever came out on top would have their hand raised?
Yeah, but I don't think, look, at that level, it's not just to go in all slugfest and see who comes out on top. Obviously, there's still a load of, class and ability involved in it. Even if they have a shootout, there's still class and ability in that shootout. But I do get what people mean. He's vulnerable when he throws. I just think he's vulnerable when he gets hit, Beterbiev. And I think Callum's best thing is when Beterbiev's opening up. Catch him while he's opening up. But I think he's good enough to box and last as long as it lasts anyway. So we were confident in Callum in that fight, and we still are when that fight gets made.
Beefy Joshua-Whyte 2 next week. Your thoughts, please?
Yeah, I fancy Joshua, to be honest with you. I think they've had loads of miles on the clock since the first fight, but I think White's been knocked out a few times since then. I just think the style-wise of the fight, I think it might be made for Joshua.
Right, Liam, we will leave it there now. Obviously, leave you to shoot off and enjoy the rest of your day. Pleasure as always, and I'll see you on fight week.
Sam, nice one.